And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we're going to be talking about what Jayden Daniels had to say in a recent interview that has fans super excited for this upcoming season. Then next, we're going to be talking about NFL draft prospect Benjamin Morrison, cornerback out of Notre Dame, and why he might be an interesting fit for the Washington Commanders if they are looking to upgrade their secondary via the NFL draft. And so before we jump into it, I first want to remind you to hit that subscribe button, just like Jayden Daniels is going to be hitting many wide receivers for multiple touchdowns this upcoming season. And so in exchange for hitting that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Washington Commanders. So make sure you hit that subscribe, you hit that like, you join the Washington Commanders Insider family as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football. And before we jump into it, I just want to say happy holidays, and I hope you guys enjoy the content today. And so let's go ahead and jump into it. And we want to start around Jayden Daniels. And really, Jayden Daniels ready for the challenge next season. It certainly sounds like it. And so if you want to listen to this interview, you can go onto YouTube. It's under Gruden Goes Long. This was an interview with the former coach in the National Football League, Coach Gruden. And, he's talking about just what happened last season, and then also, too, talking a little bit about what the Washington Commanders did in free agency. And so it was a good chance to just really hear what Jayden Daniels had to say in reflection. And so we're going to talk just paraphrasing some of the things that he had to say. But I think that the first major thing that he said that really gets you excited for this upcoming season is he says this: as a competitor, you're always trying to find little ways to get better. For me, last year was last year. That's great, but it's a whole new year now. I've still got to go out there. I've got to prove myself to my teammates, the organization, each and every day that I'm getting better. When it's time to prepare and when those games come, I've got to know that, hey, how can I eliminate some tendencies? That's the big thing. And so you love to hear that, from Jayden Daniels, especially after the success that he had last season, wanting to go out and be just as hungry this upcoming season. And so that is super exciting to hear. And then you love just the back half of that where he's talking about eliminating some tendencies. And that is huge because you know that coming into this season, they are going to be geared up to try to stop Jayden Daniels and really minimize him in the game plan. And so he's already thinking ahead. This is why, you just get super excited really as a fan base, just looking at Jayden Daniels, because his ability to kind of see ahead like this, I think that is what we saw really on the field time after time last season. And I just cannot wait to see how this is going to evolve this season, because I really do believe that as you continue to play seasons in the National Football League, I think that things start to slow down for you. And I just can't wait to see what it's going to look like, because it's already seemed to be slow for him now, man. I cannot wait until he gets even more, polished in his routines and just understanding what defenses are trying to do to him. And so next, that leads into the next point. He's talking about routine, and just briefly, just paraphrasing this, but how important the routine is in refining it. And so look, if there is a player that is going to come into the building and find ways to get better, it's Jayden Daniels. And so when you hear him talking about the routine, that's great to hear. In fact, in this very interview, he's talking about, I guess, a boot that he sent to Coach Gruden over there. And I guess it's a boot that it kind of warms up your Achilles, and then it also too kind of warms up your ankle or whatnot. And I guess it helps you with your recovery. But it's little things like that Jayden Daniels, man, he's on that stuff. And this is why I think that you are just looking at a guy that is going to be super special, routine, preparation, like super excited to hear that. Next up, he was excited about the new acquisitions in the offseason. So he's talking about asked about Deebo Samuel, and then also to Laramie Tunsil. And he was like, look, he's excited to build with those players. I cannot wait to see what that's going to look like when Deebo Samuel and him start to get on the same page. I mean, if it's anything like what he was talking about with Terry McLaurin, because he was asked about that. I guess Coach Gruden had coached him up in the Senior Bowl, Terry McLaurin. And he was talking about just how Terry McLaurin is so just into the film study and how he's constantly, I guess, hitting Jayden Daniels about these little clips and stuff like that. And so the attention to detail with Terry McLaurin. And so I can only imagine what that's going to look like when you get Deebo Samuel in the building with Terry McLaurin and Jayden Daniels and the guys, and the way that these guys like to prepare. And also, too, with Laramie Tunsil, with the way that he's going to really help this offensive line kind of move some people out of the way. Super excited for that. And then you love the fact that he's talking about earning everything. That is the one message that he had for anybody coming into the league, is that, look, you've got to earn everything. And that's what we just talked about in the quote of him going out there and saying, hey, I've got to earn the respect of the team and, just the organization all over again. But I like how he references Bobby Wagner and talking about how he really leaned on him with the veteran presence and how he really showed the way. And so that right there, if anybody looks at the stats and you just say, okay, well, they only did this season, I think that when you look at a guy like Bobby Wagner and some of these vets that came over to the Washington Commanders, this is why they were so huge. And I think that this is why this team took a major jump last season, because there's so many things that you just can't measure in the stats. And so, Bobby Wagner showing the way for Jayden Daniels, I think that certainly helps out, or helped him out, I should say, moving forward. And lastly, I love how he talks about just an adverse situation last season. He talks about losing 3 straight for the Washington Commanders and how, that was a moment in which, you have to find out who you are. And he loved, how the team really came together after that. Again, paraphrasing that. So make sure that you go check this out. It's on YouTube. Again, he is being interviewed by Coach Gruden on Gruden Goes Long. And so a terrific piece there, about 21 minutes. But super excited about Jayden Daniels, ready to go for this upcoming challenge in this upcoming NFL season. And so next, I wanted to go ahead and now look at Benjamin Morrison. And so he's a cornerback out of Notre Dame. Was looking here on Washington Commanders Sports Illustrated.com. They were talking a little bit about that. They referenced to another article in there that goes over to Bleacher Report and talking about teams that may make some trades in the NFL draft. But Benjamin Morrison was talked about. And so I wanted to do some more research on him. And look, I must say, just from just the athletic standpoint, super impressed with what I saw from him. I mean, this guy is stellar, I think, at making incredible interceptions. And that's point number one. As far as his ball hawking ability, I thought that he showed that really in his highlights. I think that, him just maybe making plays on the football were spectacular, whether he was just kind of mid-stop jumping up and grabbing the football that way, turning over the shoulder, making catches that way. Like, I thought that his interceptions were spectacular. And I think that point number two that I liked about him is that he is a guy that will break on the football. I thought that his break was extremely quick. And then also I liked his play recognition, which was point number three. I think that, look, once he understands, concepts and what an offense is trying to do, I mean, he knows how to read that thing. And so I think that there was a highlight in which he had a huge game, I think, against Boston College, where he had 3 interceptions in that game. Spectacular play recognition coming up, just being so disruptive in the screen game. And then next, I love the fact that he is a downhill corner. He looks like that he doesn't show any hesitation as far as coming up and looking for the contact. Like, he'll definitely come up and he'll stick the runner. And so you do love that. That's something that the Washington Commanders absolutely have to get better at, is run defense. I mean, we've talked about that countless times on the show. And then just some of the highlight points for him here. And so, look, he is a guy that he is, I guess, been a semifinalist for the Thorpe Award his sophomore season. He had a very good season there. I think the productivity really speaks for itself as well, because when he first came in to Notre Dame, I mean, it was spectacular. He had 22 solo tackles. He had 11 assists, but man, he had 5 pass deflections that it has him down for on ESPN.com here, but he had 6 INTs, including 1 touchdown. So that is spectacular production in year one. Then in year two, he came back. He had 25 solo tackles, so he had more tackles. And then he also had some more pass deflections as well, went up to 10 there. And then he had 3 INTs, didn't have a touchdown, but still great productivity. this last campaign in 2024, only 14 tackles, 6 assists. He had 3 pass deflections, didn't have any INTs or anything like that. But still, I think that the production for the first couple seasons, they look pretty good there. Something that definitely, man, it looks like that it could maybe translate. And then, I love too, another aspect to him is it seems like that he's a guy that will bait you into throws. I think that when you look at his tape or his highlights, whatnot, like I think there's a lot of times where it looks like the wide receiver is open, and then the very next moment you see him kind of turn back for the football. So I think that he does a terrific job as far as maybe, kind of showing you that maybe it looks open and then you throw into a mistake that way. So I think that he's constantly taking advantage of a quarterback's mistake, which is another thing too, that it seems like if you have a good front line and you're getting a good pass rush up front, I think he's the type of cornerback that's going to make you pay in the secondary. I think he's the type of guy, he's not looking to bat the football down. He's looking to turn the football over for you. And that's huge. When you're talking about the turnover battle, you're talking about winning field position and everything like that. This is a player that is certainly looking for every opportunity to turn an offense over. So I love that. And then I like, lastly, the composure that he has. It seems like that whenever he gets into the kind of jumpy battle or the hand battle between him and the wide receiver, he doesn't panic. It seems like that he's just calm in that situation, and then he makes a good play on the football, at least at the things that I looked at. And so I liked it. Some of the weaknesses here, they talk about he did have a hip injury, and so that's maybe a little bit of a concern, but he was healthy for the most part throughout his career. They also talk about, and this is going into NFL draft buzz and looking at some of his weaknesses here, but they were talking about sometimes he'll leave maybe some areas in coverage open as far as his zone coverage, so not as sharp there, can kind of be vulnerable to some deep patterns that way. And then, they talk about the injury history, which we just talked about that. But then just talking about he kind of relies a little bit on his athleticism at times. And he gets boxed out, I guess, by bigger receivers. And so that could be an issue. And then also too, when you're talking about, getting beat and having to rely on your athleticism, that's going to be challenging when you get to the next level against some of these NFL wide receivers, because they're the best of the best. And so that is maybe an issue for, the team getting him. You could run into that. And then lastly, I think one of the things that I liked about this is that in the NFL draft Buzz profile, they compare him to maybe similar to a Marlon Humphreys type of player that played for Baltimore, maybe a player that you can get out there. He competes with toughness, just really has to refine the techniques and things like that. And I think that that's a corner certainly you could put into some man coverage situations, but obviously you'd have to clean up a little bit of the zone stuff. But I think it would be an interesting pick. And just based off what I'm seeing, I just think that it's all about refining. And I think that when you look at any NFL draft prospect, I don't care what position they play, whether it's quarterback, offensive line, wide receiver, safety, whatever, they all have got to work on some things. And so I think that these are some things that can maybe be certainly coached up. And that's why I'd say that this would be a very good pick, because I think that some of the things that he has, you just can't teach it. And I just think that the things that he struggles with, you can coach it up. So let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. Do you feel like the Washington Commanders should go after Benjamin Morrison, cornerback out of Notre Dame? Like I said, I think that if you go and check him out, he definitely did some great things. And I feel like that if he gets into this building, I feel like that these coaches could probably get the best out of him. And next, what do you guys think about Jayden Daniels and, just him being ready for this upcoming challenge next season, or at least it sounds like that. So make sure you go check that out. That was on Gruden Goes Long. And so, again, happy holidays out there. And as we always say, go Commanders. I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.